Today I wanted to make a quick video in regard to my Indiana Jones whips that I've recently purchased. I have two. I ordered a third one, but it's not been made yet. These are all custom things. So this is a 8-foot 16 plat. So there's 16 strands in there. 8-foot bullwhip. It has an 8-inch handle. This is very accurate to the Indiana Jones films. It has the wrist loop. You can put your hand through there. You don't actually hold up here, you hold here, and it acts like a pivot. This is also waxed, so it's been dipped in paraffin wax, and that makes it water resistant, tightens up the plating, everything. And again, this is 8 feet, so you get quite a few coils in there. So if you're going to use this for cosplay on your belt, it's going to look exactly accurate to the film. It's pretty good. This one also has, and this is an inaccurate thing to the film, it does have a, this is a English eye. So basically what this is instead of a big knot, you have a loop, and you make a paracord fall that has a loop, and you basically feed those ends together. Which means that when you have to take this off, you basically just pull the fall out. The fall is the end bit here. And then that is about 30 inches. Then you have your cracker. So when you crack the whip, it's going to send out like a shock wave. You're creating basically a loop. You're moving the whip in one direction, and this loop continues throughout the whip until, you know, hairpins. As the whip gets thinner, it goes faster, and the fall is a thinner part, even thinner than the whip, and then the cracker is where all of that energy goes, and it flips over about 750 miles an hour. I'm very tall. I'm like 6'2", and I don't have a tripod, so apologies that you are just kind of like looking at my chest and shirt. So that's my 8-foot one. The only thing I didn't like about this was I like to carry my stuff, my kind of cosplay stuff, like just out in public every day sometimes. It's just fun to do that. This does not carry great on a belt because you have a metal handle, you have a steel handle, so that thing swings, and it like bumps into stuff, and this long handle, it's just not very maneuverable in tight spaces. Like if you're sitting in a car, it's not that great. Also, an inaccuracy is I changed the fall out to be black. It came with like a twisted tan fall. I just made a black fall and changed it out just for something different. So that's that, and this was made by Elias and Whip Co. company, or that's the Etsy name. I got all these whips off Etsy. So I'll send a link. I believe he had this in stock. I ordered an 8-foot and he already had one pre-made, so I got this relatively quick. When I got this, I was super happy, and it cracks really well, and yeah, no complaints. I would say it was, for price, I believe this was about, after shipping and tax and everything, was about $300. So it was not a small purchase for me. I don't typically buy stuff that's expensive, but once in a while it's okay to splurge. So I have that one for about 6 months or so, and the handle, part where it swings, and it's just not great to carry. So I wanted to get something without a rigid handle, which is great because they do make a snake whip, and a snake whip is essentially a whip where it's begun where the steel ends. So this looks just like an indie whip. It's got the same kind of dimensions, except this has 6 inches instead of 8. I kind of like the shorter handle. In the films, I guess the handle is like the actual handle section, the spike inside, the steel spike is 8 inches, but some of the people who made the whips put this transition knot lower down so it appears like a 6-inch handle. I wanted to replicate that, so this doesn't actually need a transition knot really, just because there's no steel handle, but I guess you do have a diamond plating. The guy who did the plating for this did a really nice job. He did the diamond plating, then you have a transition, goes into more of a herringbone pattern. Both of these whips are 16 plat. I'm pretty tall, I have pretty big hands, and I need something thicker than like a 12 plat whip. This is a little bit thicker, and it gives you more to hold on to. So, yeah, I really like this whip. This is 6 foot. I also wanted something a little more durable, so I got, this has like the traditional 4-point fall hitch. In my opinion, this is going to be a bit more durable than just this kind of two layers of paracord, this loop. Now if you're just using this on like the grass and smooth surfaces and not like concrete and gravel and stuff, it's not a huge deal, but I just wanted something a little more durable, and I saw a video about how to change the fallout, so when you eventually have to switch the fall, it's not that difficult. But this is also 6 foot because I wanted something with quicker action. 8 foot's good, but as you'll see when I demonstrate, it's kind of, you need a lot more space, and you don't have as much speed. It's more, you can't do quite as much. You can do a bit more faster with the smaller whip. There's just less time in the air. This one I had, instead of a tan or black fall, this has a fall that kind of matches. And then I just put this nylon cracker, and it just has the little tassel there. Now this was made by Havoc Whips by a guy named Jeremy, and originally I wanted to have this not waxed just to try something, and the plating was all loose, and so I sent it back to him. He waxed it for free, sent it back, and now it looks like it does. It also darkens the paracord up quite a bit, and it gives it kind of like a rustic leather, like worn leather look. I also like on this one, you can see how the loop, the two strands are very close together, and it looks very clean. That's very reminiscent of the Indy whip. The Elias & Co. whip, he did put a piece of leather and there's a bit of a gap. I'm not a huge fan of that because it's not as accurate, but I mean, I'm not complaining about that, but if I could kind of go without that, I'd do it this way. I prefer this way. So this has a flexible handle, there's no steel, and it does swing a little bit, but nowhere near as much, and it's shorter. It just fits better on my belt, so I carried this on my belt in public. It's kind of like an everyday thing, just for fun. Sometimes I'll wear my Indy hat, and I'm going to go get that for the cracking of the whips, but and then people kind of laugh and think it's funny. So those are my Indy whips. Now as far as the holders, I've tried the ones, this is very challenging. I've tried the holders where you basically just wrap it around a couple times and then it snaps. I don't like those too much. What I've come up with is basically this. Basically you have, don't mind the clip, this is just for attaching to my waistband or belt, but you basically have this metal buckle here, and that's sewn in place. Then you would have a belt loop, which I've just attached to this clip here, but that's basically sewn in one section. Then you have this strand here. This has Velcro, so basically you put this through the whip, and then you double it back on itself and really cinch that around, and it will not come out. This will hold the whip. I will say that depending on the diameter of the strap you use, it can be more effective. This is my 6 foot, so I just put that through. I coil the whip up. I put this end through here, and then this would be on my belt. So the way this works, the reason this works is because you have opposing forces. You have one end pulling up and this end's pulling down. And I guarantee that this will not come out. And the great thing about this is it's adjustable. So it works pretty good, and it just goes on the belt. This one, pretty much the same. It's a bigger diameter because this is heavier, and I just wanted something more secure. But again, it's just got plastic buckle. You can kind of see how this was sewn. So you have your belt loop, then this was sewn in between. So it's sewn there, so it's not going to move. So again, you just whip through, put it through the end there, the buckle, and then you just back on itself. And this is a wider diameter. This works great on this whip. It will not come out. You can move and run, do whatever you want. It's not gonna, because typically what happens with the ones that you just loop around a couple times, the end will kind of do this. Over time, as you move, it'll get pulled out because of the weight of the handle. I have not had that problem with this, as long as you just tighten that up really good. This also carries really well on your belt. It's very flush, and it doesn't swing around terribly bad. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go get my Indy hat and my satchel, and I'm going to give these a crack for you and show you how they work. So this is my Indy hat. This is not accurate to the movie. I got this hat like 2015, and it was like 12 bucks. I found it at Walmart. I just sewed the crease in there that he has in Raiders, and I kind of sewed the brim down. This is my satchel. My mom's a seamstress, and it's fun to work on projects for cosplay stuff. So this is not entirely accurate either. The original satchel bag for the films was a gas mask bag. It had ventilator in the bottom, so you could put this over your head and breathe through it in an emergency. So this does have snaps, but the snaps are very annoying to have to snap them every time. So we did add this is a magnetic snap. See that? So that will keep it shut. This bag is very good quality. It's made out of canvas. This part is not accurate because I believe the one in the movie has circular rings, not square ones, and it's a little shorter, but you know, whatever. This is all nylon, not leather. I prefer nylon straps. So yeah, I put the buckle thing. Again, this is silver, and I believe it's metal in the movie, but it's pretty good. Works good for costume. So I'm gonna go ahead and crack the whips for you now. Have a good day. God bless. Thanks for watching.